darkness feels like it's listening, leaning in closer with every heartbeat, as if it already knows the things I'm too tired to say out loud. And tonight, as the hours stretch themselves thin across the quiet of this room, I can feel your absence settling on my skin like a memory I never learned how to put down. I breathe slow, afraid that if I inhale too sharply, the fragile piece I've built will collapse around me. It's strange how a name, just a name, can move through the body like a forgotten song that suddenly remembers its melody. And your name, it rises in me with a softness that hurts more than any sharp goodbye ever could. I find myself tracing the outline of a moment we never had, one of those imagined places where your hand reaches for mine, without trembling, without hesitation, without fear. But even in the comfort of fiction, I sense the truth. You were always the kind of soul that ran from the very things it needed most. If you were here right now in this dim, quiet corner of the night, I wonder if you'd finally let your breath fall into the rhythm of mine. Not because we've solved anything, not because we understand each other completely, but because sometimes two broken pieces fit, not by design, but by recognition, a quiet knowing that says, I see you, even in the places you hide. Maybe you'd sit beside me, shoulders tense at first, as if the weight you carry is afraid of being noticed. And maybe I'd turn just enough for the light to hit your face softly, letting you know you don't have to pretend you're stronger than the night that keeps chasing you. You never had to pretend with me, but since you're not here, since the room remains a little too cold and a little too honest, I let the silence speak the words neither of us ever dared to say. It tells me that some connections don't die when people walk away. They simply shift into another shape, one the heart carries quietly long after the world stops asking about them. I think about the version of you that tried so hard to be okay, the version that smiled even when your eyes told a completely different story. And I wish I could have held that tired version of you for just one night longer, long enough for you to feel what it's like to not be drowning alone. Maybe one day, when your heart grows too heavy to wander on its own, you'll remember the softness in my voice when I said nothing at all, the warmth in my presence when the world felt too cold to stand. Maybe then you'll find your way back, not out of longing, not out of regret, but out of understanding, a realization that some people were meant to be safe places, even if they were never meant to be destinations. But for now I sit in this fragile quiet, letting your memory settle like dust caught in a beam of light. Gentle, faint, but undeniably they're not haunting me, not breaking me, just reminding There are nights when the quiet feels so alive that I can almost hear the sound of every emotion I tried to bury, scratching at the inside of my chest, asking to be acknowledged just one more time. And no matter how still I stay, how deeply I breathe, your name rises through the silence like smoke trying to find a way out of a room with no windows. I place my hand over my heart, not to feel it beat, but to reassure myself that it hasn't collapsed under the weight of everything I never allowed it to feel. Somewhere between the lines of my breathing, I sense the ghost of your presence. Not warm, not cold, just there like a shadow that forgot how to detach itself from the light that made it. I remember the way you used to look at the floor when your thoughts grew too heavy, as if the ground might open up and swallow the truth before you had to say it out loud. And I think maybe that's why I still feel you so strongly, because you left more unsaid than most people manage to confess in a lifetime. If you were here beside me in this dim room, where even the walls seem tired of listening to my silence, I wouldn't ask for explanations or promises or reasons you couldn't stay. I would just sit with you quietly, carefully, the way you sit with something fragile that might crumble if you breathe too loudly. I'd want you to see that I don't fear your darkness, that I'm not intimidated by the storms you carry inside your ribs. I'd want you to know that some hearts aren't meant to fix each other, they're meant to understand, to soften the impact, to hold the space where pain can finally rest without being questioned. But since you're not here, since the night stretches on without you, I let the emptiness speak in your place, and it tells me that some connections don't disappear. Even when time tries its hardest to dilute them, they linger, subtle, steady, woven into the smallest habits and the deepest breaths. I close my eyes and imagine the version of you you never let the world see, the version you hid behind tired smiles and rushed conversations. And I wish, not desperately, not painfully, but with a soft, steady ache, that I could have been the place where you finally set your burdens down. Maybe one day when the distance between us isn't made of fear and unfinished thoughts, you'll remember the quiet we shared, the way our silences felt less like absence and more like understanding. Maybe you'll return, not as the person who left, but as the soul that finally learned it doesn't have to carry everything alone. Until then, I sit with a night drape around me, letting your memory breathe in the deepest part of my chest, not as a wound, not as regret, but as a truth that still glows softly long after the flame was supposed to go out. When the quiet feels so endless that it stretches across my chest, like a heavy blanket woven from every thought I never learned how to let go of. And somewhere inside that stillness, somewhere between my breathing and the soft hum of the world falling asleep, Your memory rises like a tide that never learned how to recede. I sit with a dim glow of the room around me, feeling the walls listen more closely than they should, as if they've memorized the shape of all the words I swallowed just to keep the night from breaking. Your absence has a weight, a temperature, a rhythm, and I've grown used to its presence, the way people grow used to old scars, not healed, but understood. Sometimes I still picture you standing at the doorway of my thoughts, not entering, not leaving, just existing, caught between the urge to stay and the instinct to run. And I realized you were always that kind of soul that wanted closeness, but feared what it would reveal. I was the one who stayed quietly, hoping you might one day trust the silence between us if you appeared in front of me now, not as the person the world sees, but as the version of yourself you only let slip when you were too tired to pretend. I think the room would shift in that subtle way it used to, as if everything in it recognized you before even I did. I wouldn't ask you why you left, wouldn't demand an apology for the nights you didn't come back. Some wounds don't need closure, they just need understanding. I imagine you sitting beside me, eyes lowered, hands fidgeting, with a truth you were never brave enough to speak. And maybe, just maybe, I turn to you with a gentleness you never learned to trust in yourself, and whisper the thing you spent so long doubting. You didn't break me, you just became a place in me. I learned to walk carefully around, but since you're not here, since the night continues its slow descent into the corners of my soul, I let the quiet fill the spaces we never had the courage to occupy together. I let the memory breathe, let it settle, let it soften me. In all the places life has hardened, there's a calm that comes with finally accepting that not every love is meant to stay, not every story is meant to close, and not every person is meant to return. Some are meant to linger, soft, quiet, woven into the deeper layers of who we become. When the world finally stops demanding that we move on. So tonight I sit in this dim stillness, breathing through the ache, allowing your name to drift through my thoughts like a feather suspended in slow motion. Not to hold it, not to chase it, but simply to acknowledge that it was once something warm in my hands before it learned how to slip away. And maybe someday, when you feel the weight of your heart pressing too heavily against the dark, you'll remember the quiet between us, the kind of quiet that didn't judge, didn't rush, didn't fear your shadows. Maybe then your footsteps will finally find the path back to where everything remained soft long after you were gone. There are nights when the silence grows so wide,
It feels like I'm standing at the edge of something I'm still too afraid to name. And in that white, trembling quiet, your memory rises slowly, softly, like a truth that has waited longer than it should have to be felt again. I sit with my back against the cool wall, eyes half closed, letting the shadows stretch around me like arms that have learned how to hold what the world discarded. Your voice drifts through my head, not with clarity, not with certainty, just a faint echo of the way you once breathed when you were trying not to fall apart. It's strange how I still remember the rhythm of your silence, how it paused before unraveling, how it carried more honesty than any words you tried to force out. I didn't understand it then, but I do now. Some hearts don't speak because they're afraid their truth will be too heavy for someone else to carry. If you were here tonight, if your shadow brushed against mine in this dim room that's grown too familiar with being empty, I think I'd finally realize how much space you once took up inside my thoughts without ever meaning to. I wouldn't reach for you, wouldn't push the moment, wouldn't ask the questions we both avoided for too long. Some feelings become sacred only when left untouched. Sometimes I imagine your hands, the way they tremble when you held something fragile, as if you believed you weren't gentle enough to be trusted with anything that mattered. But you were wrong, you were always gentler than you allowed yourself to be. I saw it in the way you looked away when you felt too much, in the way you exhaled like you were carrying storms you didn't dare release. If destiny softened for a moment and brought your tired steps back to me, I think I'd let the silence speak first. Let it unravel the distance, let it guide us through the places where we left ourselves unfinished. Maybe then you'd understand that I never needed certainty from you, never needed promises, never needed an answer. I only ever needed the truth, the one you kept buried behind all the things you couldn't say. But tonight, as the darkness breathes around me, I accept what the heart whispers when the world stops pretending. Some people don't leave, they just shift places inside you, from presence to memory to something quieter that aches without hurting and stays without asking. So I sit here, letting your absence settle like dust on the windowsill. Soft, familiar reminder of a story that didn't end, just paused in the middle of a sentence. We were too fragile to finish, and maybe that's enough for now. Maybe someday the night will guide you back, slowly, carefully, to the place where my heart still opens whenever I hear the echo of the version of you I never stopped holding.
Tonight the quiet sits beside me, like someone who knows every secret I've ever tried to hide from myself. It presses gently, not to hurt, but to remind me that some truths return no matter how far you push them away. lean into the darkness, letting it fold itself around my shoulders like a blanket woven from every moment we almost had but never claimed. I don't fight it anymore. There's a fragile comfort in letting the night hold the parts of me I can't carry during the day. I trace the memory of your voice the same way I trace the edges of an old photograph that's starting to blur around the corners. It hurts, but the hurt feels familiar, like a scar that still aches when the rain falls just right. I guess that's what you became to me, a soft ache that never learned how to leave, and I never learned how to let go. If you still look at the sky when the world grows too heavy, if you still breathe in the cold air, hoping it will quiet the tremble in your chest. There was always a sadness in you that you tried too hard to hide, a quiet in your eyes that made me want to sit closer and listen to the things you didn't know how to say. I don't know if anyone ever noticed the way you tried so hard to stay whole while the world kept taking pieces. If the door opened now, if you stepped in with your tired heartbeat and your uncertain smile, I think the universe itself would slow down for a moment, as if even time knew this was a story that paused too soon. I wouldn't rush you, wouldn't reach out, wouldn't let the moment shatter under the weight of everything we held back. I'd just breathe, slow and steady, letting the silence between us tell the truth we never dared to name. Maybe you'd sit beside me, hands shaking just enough to remind me that you've always been more human than you ever admitted. And maybe I'd finally realize that love isn't about the words we forced, but the ones we were too afraid to speak, the ones that live quietly behind our ribs, waiting for a night soft enough to hold them. But if that night never comes, if life keeps you walking roads that don't cross mine again, I'll still keep a small part of you in the quieter corners of my heart. Not as a wound, not as a regret, but as something gentle, something unfinished, something true. There's a kind of love that doesn't fade, it just shifts into a different form of breathing, a different shade of longing, a different way of existing. And that's what you are to me now, a slow, steady presence in the background of my soul, a whisper that returns whenever the night grows soft enough to let me feel everything I pretend I've outgrown. So I sit here alone but not lonely, quiet but not empty, carrying the echo of you. Like a candle in a dark room, not bright enough to guide my future, but warm enough to keep the past from freezing.